Section IX. To the inhuman and unmerciful, do you, sir, as an instructor of youth, a master of apprentices, or as a father, deal severely by those who are under your authority, inflicting punishments that exceed the crimes committed? Or do you punish rather to satiate your revenge than to reform the offender? Do you harden your heart against the poor, either by abating their just wages, or by refusing to relieve them when distressed and afflicted? Are you apt to censure others, and that upon very night evidence, and ready to spread abroad any ill report that may affect their good name? If you are guilty in any of these respects, sir, I appeal to your own judgment whether it be doing you an injury to style you inhuman and unmerciful. Various are the considerations, many of which if not all are taken from interest. I say various are the considerations that may be urged against inhumanity. Inhumanity cannot fail of rendering us objects of dislike to our fellow creatures, depriving us of their good offices, and exposing us to their ill treatment. A consciousness of inhumanity too will occasion our own hearts to reproach us, and what can render us so odious in the eyes, so opposite to the nature of that God whose name is love, and of that divinely compassionate Savior who shed his vital blood for the redemption of mankind. For a man who bears the Christian name to be cruel and unmerciful, is he not acting a part as inconsistent with the word, as different from the spirit of him whom he styles his master, as light and darkness, as heaven and hell? I would beg the inhuman to look forwards to that infinitely solemn season when he must stand before the supreme and righteous judge of the earth, and then reflect upon James 2:13. For he hall have judgment without mercy, who bad showed no mercy. Happy the man who instead of actually aggrieving some, where there is no good end to be answered by it, and wishing evil to others, does on the contrary endeavor to promote the present and immortal interest of the human race, as far as his ability extends, and where he cannot actually benefit at least follows all men with his kind wishes. Is not this the case with respect to the bright spirits above? In heaven that great command is perfectly obeyed, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And what a promoter of the pleasure of angelic beings and of disembodied spirits is such a disposition? For as there is this principle of universal benevolence, is not the happiness of the whole shining society enjoyed by every individual? Was such a principle to prevail on earth, would not earth be transformed into heaven? Let me add, may we whilst in the present world, instead of living so much to ourselves as to be branded like some with the appellation of no man's friend, so live and act as to be entitled to the character of every man's friend. I can scarce forbear in this place touching upon that want of feeling which many manifest towards the brutal part of the creation. Such is the taking away the lives of innocent animals in mere wantonness, in sport, as well as putting noxious animals to a lingering death. There are the barbarous pastimes of bull buting, cock fighting, and the guardian would have us also to consider hunting as rather a cruel diversion. On this head, he says, I so must have leave to be of opinion that the agitation of that exercise with the example, in number of chasers does not a little contribute to resist those so checks which compassion would naturally suggest in behalf of the animal pursued. Monsieur Fleury ventures to call this sport a remain of Gothic barbarity. Whether horse racing too, where the animal is put to its utmost strength and the powers of nature strained, be not an inhuman pastime, I will leave him to determine who is best acquainted with that diversion. When a person reflects upon the various cruelties shewn to dumb animals, one may be ready to imagine that numbers of our countrymen were convinced of the truth of the Cartesian hypothesis, viz., that animals are mere machines, having no sensation of pleasure or pain. But, sir, as I take it for granted you are convinced that the brutes as well as yourself are capable of agreeable and disagreeable sensations, it will follow that your humanity should extend to dumb animals as well as your own species. A certain polite nation was so sensible of this, that they rejected a person of the first quality who stood for a judiciary office, only because he had been observed in his youth to take pleasure in teasing and murdering birds. And we read of another that expelled a man out of the Senate for dashing a bird against the ground, which had taken shelter in his bosom. It has been likewise said to the honor of the Turks, that they are remarkable for their kind treatment of the brutes. But more than all this sort of humanity was strictly inculcated upon the Jews, as we learn from that precept in Jude, Exod 6:7, if a bird's nest chance to be before thee in the way in any tree, or on the ground, whether they be young ones or eggs, and the dam sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, thou shalt not take the dam with the young. And see, I can't help being of their opinion who suppose that we shall be accountable at last for cruelties exercised towards the brutes, as well as for an unmerciful behavior towards men, and how much cruelty in the former case leads to inhumanity in the latter may be inferred from what history lays of Domitian, the Roman emperor. Now 'tis not improbable that this emperor contracted, or however greatly strengthened, that cruel disposition which discovered itself towards his own species by using to sport with the sufferings of dumb animals. For we are told that soon after he became emperor he entertained himself with killing of flies, which occasioned Vivis Crispus to say when he was asked who was with the emperor, "Not in so much as a fly, nay our conduct be regulated by that sacred maxim, a merciful man is merciful to his beast."